In this demo, I'll be showing you how to use external crates. External crates are a way to include other people's code within your program, thereby increasing your productivity and making it easier to write complex applications. Before I start adding external crates to my code, I'm going to create a new project. I want us to take a look at the files that are created when a new project is made. Here we have our source directory, where we include all our source files. We have a main file that's created for us, which just prints out hello world. We have a .getignore file. This file is just used by source control, and it ensures that the correct files get checked into source control. We won't be covering source control in this course, but all source control does is ensure that your code is always available and that you can undo any changes that might break your programs. And lastly, we have a cargo.toml file. The cargo.toml file is used to configure your project. At the top, we have some basic information about our project, and the dependencies section is where we will include our external crates. We can also see that there is a link here for additional information about the toml file and how different parts can be used. I'm now going to be adding an external crate to my project. To do so, we need to go to the crates.io website. Crates.io is the official repository for external crates in the Rust ecosystem. There is also an unofficial site called lib.rs, and lib.rs categorizes and ranks different crates. For now, I'll just use crates.io. I'm going to use the human time crate. Human time is simply a crate that takes seconds and minutes and converts it into a friendly user time. So it could convert something like 300 seconds into 5 minutes. That way it's easy for a person to understand. I can click on human time. On the crates page, we have all the information we need to use it, including additional links, the author, license, etc. This section right here is what we need to copy into our cargo.toml file. You can click on the clipboard icon, and it'll automatically copy it to your clipboard. After that, we can then just paste it into our dependency section. Here, we're telling the Rust compiler that we want to use the human time crate, and we want to use version 2.0.1. After that's done, we can jump back into our source file. Now that the external crate has been included with our project, we'll need to check the documentation for the crate in order to learn how to use it. We can see here we have a documentation link, so I'm going to click that, and then here is the documentation for the human time crate. It's also possible to generate this documentation if you run cargo doc on the command line. I'm going to use the online resource for now. We can see that the human time crate has a description about what it does, and we can see all the items that it exports, such as structs, enumerations, and functions. I'm going to be using the format duration function. As we can see, the format duration function formats a duration into a human readable string. We can see that the function accepts a value, and that value must be a duration. If we click on the duration, we'll then be linked to that specific type, and the duration type is part of the standard library. To create a duration, we can use from seconds and then supply the number of seconds that we want to use for our duration. I'm going to jump back into the editor and make the necessary changes we need to utilize this functionality. So here we are using the human time crate, and we're specifically using the format duration function. The format duration function is listed here under the human time crate, along with a description on how it's to be used and some examples of how we can use it. Next, I'm using the duration type from the standard library. As we can see from the documentation on duration, a duration type represents a span of time typically used for system timeouts. So we can use a duration to represent a specific time span, such as 20 seconds or 5 minutes, or just a few nanoseconds. When you work with a duration, it will just print out the actual number of seconds or nanoseconds. But if we use the human time crate, as we are here, we can print it out in a friendly manner, including hours and minutes and seconds. And that's what we're doing here. First, we just create a new duration from seconds. We're creating a duration that's 9,876 seconds. And then we're going to call the print line macro and use the format duration function that we imported from the human time crate. This function should then format it in a human readable fashion, and we'll see what we get. When you first execute cargo run, it will update the crate's IO index, which is just getting the latest information on all the external crates. If you haven't downloaded the crate yet, it will do so automatically during this step. It will then compile both the human time crate and then your crate. In my case, it's called demos. Once it's done, it'll run it as usual. And as we can see, this duration that was created is actually 2 hours, 44 minutes, and 36 seconds. There are tens of thousands of crates available on crates.io for download. All you need to do, again, is just add the name and the version that you wish to use into your cargo.toml file. You can also see that a cargo.lock file has been created. The cargo.lock file is used to keep track of exactly which versions of which dependencies are being used. It's not something you normally need to edit, but you can take a look through it if you want to see exactly what's being used by your application. Sometimes these dependencies, such as human time, they may have additional dependencies with them, and they would be listed here. As we can see, human time does not have any additional dependencies, so that's the only package that we have included. This concludes the demo on external crates. I'll see you in the next presentation.